Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching a fifth episode about honesty about anxiety. Altogether, we're gonna have nine episodes about anxiety. And if you go to my channel, you push the little button in the bottom, and you go to that channel. Then you can see the other episodes that we have, which is usually about happiness. But I noticed that a lot of people right now, especially, they don't even think about happiness. They have a lot of anxiety. So I thought to make those nine episodes about anxiety. So they all really valuable. So make sure you watch all of them. Today I have Becca joining us. Hi, Becca.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm fantastic, thank you.
Yeah. Where are you joining us from?
From Des Moines, Iowa, in the Midwest.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. And we're going to talk about productivity. Becca, tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Absolutely, thank you. Well, I am a productivity coach from the Midwest, and primarily what I do is I work with folks through text-based coaching. And the reason I do text-based coaching is really because so many people have anxiety around getting help and support. And so, if I am the secret weapon in your pocket, then when you're having a difficult time at work or with your spouse, with a boss, you can send me a note and I can provide help, advice, I can provide encouragement. If you have a big test coming up, a big meeting coming up, and truly, I'm just the secret weapon in your pocket so that you get that coaching and support without having to talk about that you have coaching and support. So it's a nice little secret because so many people have anxiety. They don't want to admit that they need help. They don't want to admit that they need a coach. So I'm
Mhm.
taking all that pressure off. They don't have to be face to face. They don't even have to be on a phone call. It's really a lot easier for folks to open up that way. So that is why I operate primarily via that text coaching. I'm just your little secret.
Mm-hmm. That's actually really interesting. That's something new as well that has not been around, well, not knowingly around so much. But it's interesting for people because, like you said, anxiety is something that people don't want to show to others. They try to hide
Right.
it. But
Mhm.
having that in your pocket like this, and you can reach it like most of the time, it's awesome.
Thank you. And, it's especially great for men because we know, men don't like to ask for directions. They don't like to ask for help. And so if you are a man and you know that you need that help and support, I am here for you. And I can help your career get better. I can help your marriage get better. And especially, folks in middle age, both men and women, because we are truly in this sandwich of we're taking care of kids, we're trying to be the best we can be in our career, we're oftentimes taking care of parents, and it's
Mhm.
stressful, I always talk about for women how you're expected to be this killer wife and mother and employee, but what about being a woman? And what about
Mhm.
your own personal needs? We're putting ourselves last, and that's really causing so much damage. So I'm here to try to provide help and support to fix that.
Mhm. And the thing is, like, we live, so many people, why they have anxiety, because they live trying to live those expectations instead of trying
Yes.
to just be and allowed to be themselves.
Right. And, I know a lot of people have anxiety around work and even around LinkedIn. People can get so anxious just around LinkedIn because you have to be, super business person,
Mhm.
super professional. I was hoping that the pandemic would kind of fix that when you had to be, real life at home, but
Mhm.
it's kind of reverted back. And so there is still very much a need for it, and people understanding that it's okay to be authentic and that authenticity is going to get you so much farther than faking it till you make it is going to be, because faking it till you make it just gives you that anxiety and it gives you imposter syndrome, and you don't feel good about yourself, you don't feel good about what you're doing, and it's not fair to you.
Mhm. and it doesn't allow you to stand out from the crowd as well. If you're trying to, depends what you're trying to do. I always see as well that it depends what is it what you want. Some people want to stand out of the crowd, and that is
Mhm.
okay, and some people try to blend in with the crowd,
Mhm.
and that is okay too, but you just have to know which one is for you.
Exactly, and whichever one is for you, that's the right one. There is no right or wrong with this.
Hmm. Okay. So you also productivity coach. So let's talk about a little bit about that. How is productivity and anxiety connected?
It is so highly connected. First of all, have you ever been in a situation where you're procrastinating and you just have this anxious, frozen feeling? You have a gurgle in your throat, you have a feeling in the pit of your stomach because you don't want to do a specific task. Have you ever felt like that?
I did before, but I had done some work with it as well. So now I don't procrastinate as much. Like after you talk about it, you give
Mhm.
your views, I will tell you my trick that I'm doing, but I'll let you talk about
Okay,
it first. But I
okay.
learned for myself, I learned a little trick.
Very good. So, really, the first thing is just to begin, because if you get started, even though you feel like you're maybe not ready to get started, then you're naturally going to get into the groove of things. You're naturally going to get into the flow of things. However, for folks who are neurodivergent, and I would argue that we're probably all on that spectrum.
Yes.
If you're here
Hmm.
talking about anxiety,
Hmm.
then we're all neurodivergent in some
Hmm.
way. So you can gamify actually your to-do list. If you gamify your to-do list, it takes the pressure off of you. It takes that anxiety off of you, and you don't procrastinate so much. So I
Hmm.
have two really fun little ways to do that. One is through a dice. Now, this is a dice that I have 3D printed specifically for this use, but you can use any dice. And you say, okay, I have 12-sided dice. I have 12 items on my to-do list. And what am I going to do next? I need to call my grandmother because I rolled a 6 and that's number 6 on my list. I was
Okay.
avoiding calling her, but that's what I'm going to do. And,
Hmm.
the dice told me, so that's what I'm going to do. However, sometimes purely making a list causes anxiety,
Hmm.
truly, for people. And it sounds strange for folks who don't have anxiety, but sometimes just making that to do list can be overwhelming.
Hmm.
So, I encourage people to create a brainstorming bubble. So, in the middle, you write to do list in a circle. And then I have a little spinner. You can use a spinner off a child's toy if you'd like. And you have your to do items on the spinner, and you say, okay, what am I doing next? I'm working on project A because that's what the spinner said. So
Hmm.
it takes that pressure off of you, and it's kind of like if you remember back in the 80s, the magic 8 ball. It's that same idea of
Hmm.
it just takes that pressure off of you. So you know the next thing to do because the dice told you, or because the spinner told you to do that.
Hmm.
It's fun too.
Yeah, for me, and maybe there's some viewers for this as well. For me, I like the lists, and not
Mhm.
having what I noticed, not having the list is what actually makes it feel like you have so many things to do. You
Right.
don't have a list, and in your heads, you have all those things that you have to do, and it just seems so many things. But then when you put it in a list, you actually see, like you say, only 12 things to do.
Right.
Yeah, is that you've been thinking in your head like, "Oh, I have to do this, 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 all the things," and then you actually put it in a paper like, "Hmm, only 8, only 12." It
Yeah,
wasn't. It's not so much anymore because now you can actually see them on a paper. So I think
exactly.
making a list, if it is anxious to make it for somebody, but after you make the list, so much changes.
Absolutely. And you know what? You can even write on the list as the first item, write my to do list and then check it off right away. And that way you're giving
Mm-hmm.
yourself success right away of, you know what? I did it. I made my to do list.
Mm-hmm. I put in my to-do list, I put a lot of just random things, as easy things as well, like just like doing the dishes or um let's say put the garbage out, something like this, because those
Mhm.
are easy little things to do, like you were just saying, to make the list. So easy thing. And when I see those check marks, it's already like I see the progress, and it's easier to make everything, all the other things in the list too.
Exactly, you already have that ball rolling, you already have that momentum, so once you have that momentum, you can really just keep going and increase your productivity just in huge ways.
Mm-hmm. And the bigger things, sometimes if there's a lot of big things that I need to get done, and sometimes you have those rough days when
Yeah.
things just doesn't matter how good and everything you are, you still have those little occasionally those days when things are just not okay. Then I
Mhm.
try to pick one thing, one bigger thing, and get that big thing done. I was like, I did this. I'm
Yes.
fine with the other ones, because this day is not the day I'm fooling myself. I can do
Mhm.
those other things some other day, but now I had to make sure that I get at least one big thing done then.
Exactly, and, that really goes back towards managing your energy, and I like to encourage people not just to manage their time to increase productivity, but to manage your energy, because if you're trying to do something really complex when you're exhausted, that just causes more anxiety.
Hmm.
Because you're not in the right headspace. Like you said, sometimes you just have an off day
Hmm.
and there are not things that you're able to accomplish on that particular day. And that's perfectly fine. But if you manage your energy and you say, okay, I'm going to do complex tasks, I'm going to do my deep work during periods where I have a lot of energy. And then periods where I don't have a lot of energy, then I can schedule taking out the garbage, doing the dishes where I don't have to think. I'm just doing. And
Hmm.
that's okay because if you match your energy to the task, then you're going to get so much more done and you're going to feel better about it too. You're not going to be so stressed out trying to work against the grain. You're going with the grain instead.
Hmm. Let me tell you now about that trick that I learned for myself for
Yes.
procrastination.
Yes.
And what I started doing is, when I knew that I'm procrastinating, my procrastination was doing something else, like reading or studying more. Instead of
Mhm.
taking action, I was like, oh, I read more, I study more, which is
Mhm.
normal thing to do, but I was holding me back from some of the actions that I was need to be doing. So what
Mhm.
I was doing, I made this thing that I have myself reward,
Yes.
and reward was that thing that I like to be doing.
I love
So I
it.
was I was like I was procrastinating. Let's say
Mhm.
I was like, oh, I'm gonna read this book instead. And I was like, no, if I'm gonna do this action, then
Mhm.
afterwards I can read that book. So
I love that.
yeah, so me make and I learned that, and now I don't even have to read that book afterwards. I just love getting things done because
Mhm.
I know I can. But like in the beginning, those were like I made sure that I had rewards afterward.
Mhm. I love that, and actually, that's one of my recommendations for folks. I call it the early bird special. If you get the big, hairy, scary thing done for the day before noon, then you get your reward. And maybe that reward is reading books like it is for you, it is for me also,
Mm-hmm.
or it could be for folks playing video games or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is that they do that they feel is something that's exciting to them, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not, super productive. And if you get it done before noon, great. You get that time to do that. And the other thing is, especially for book lovers, and I found this hugely, hugely helpful for me. I would rather read a book than do housework any day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So, while I am vacuuming, taking out the trash, doing the dishes, I listen to audiobooks because I'm still getting my book
Mm.
time in,
Okay.
but
Mm-hmm.
then I am being productive as well. I'm getting that housework done. For me, that's a non-preferred activity. I don't like housework.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's not so daunting if I'm listening to a book. So I'm folding
Mm-hmm.
laundry, listening to a book, doing dishes, listening to a book. and then I feel like I'm getting my fun stuff done at the same
Mm-hmm.
time as the drudgery done.
Yeah, that's perfect. That rewards are really important, I think, with procrastination.
They
Mm-hmm. Because then it more instead of now your procrastination turns into motivational thing.
It does.
So you get the reward, and the rewards they just feel good afterwards.
They do. And rewards can be, anything from a book to a piece of chocolate to,
Mm-hmm.
trash TV. Some people love trash
Mm-hmm.
TV, and
Yeah,
that's okay. Use it as a reward.
yeah, exactly. But I was just thinking that just came to my mind right now as well. Um, when you're procrastinating and you have reward, then you have more, not just motivation,
Mm-hmm.
but your procrastination is not as important anymore. You're
Right.
more focused on the reward.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
that's kind of the thing.
it is. And, people actually get addicted to procrastination. They get
Mhm.
addicted to that feeling of doing things at the last minute. And even that icky feeling of knowing you need to do something and you're not, you're putting it off, that becomes an addiction. So you become addicted to a life that you don't even like. And that, of course,
Mhm.
what does that do to your anxiety? It just skyrockets it.
Mhm.
So, one
I
thing,
want-
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's fine. But I wanted to now after you said that you work a lot with men as well. I'm actually interested now. What are the things that men are anxious about?
Oh my goodness. Men are anxious about their relationships. You wouldn't think so, but they want to please their wives. And there's this disconnect between what men naturally want to do and what pleases their wives. And so they have this anxiety because what they want to do is watch the game, but what will make their wife happy is washing the car and giving hugs. And
Mm-hmm.
so they feel like they're having to give up what they want in order to do something for their wives. But if you talk about these different strategies and say, okay, so I know that you don't want to give your wife back rubs, but she really, really loves that. That's super important to her. That's part of her love language.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do that and say, okay, let's put the game on while I rub your back. Well, guess
Mm-hmm.
what? Then you're doing both things.
Huh.
Or you have the game on your phone while you're washing the car. You can even play phone video games while you're spraying the car down,
Mm-hmm.
same thing. And also, you can use Pavlov's dog's theory to try to change behaviors. So if there's something that you shouldn't be doing, but you are, and it's really holding you back, you can keep a rubber band or a hair tie on your wrist, and
Mm-hmm.
every time you start to do that activity, you snap yourself.
Okay.
And it just gives that little bit of pain, that little bit of, oh, that's right, that's bad. I'm not supposed to be doing that. And so it snaps you out of that mindset of being naughty and doing things that are non-preferred. And so then it gets you back into, what am I supposed to be doing, what's most effective for me to be
Mm-hmm.
doing, and that is just a little reminder. And then pretty soon you won't want to feel that snap anymore, and so you'll just automatically start doing the right things and put the other things aside.
Mm-hmm. I actually noticed that everything, all those things, they take practice.
They
I've,
do.
I've been putting it, everybody, all the guests have told right now about it's all about practice as well. Because in the beginning, I remember when I had still problems with doing the task that I was supposed to be doing,
Hmm.
I made myself to do it. And now it's just easy. It just comes to my mind. I
Hmm.
notice that I'm trying to do something else instead of what I'm supposed to be doing. And
Hmm.
it's easy to go back. After a while, it just like becomes natural.
By age 35, 95% of our thoughts are from the past.
Mm-hmm.
And so your past habits, that is at 95% of your thoughts. And so truly, you're exactly right on track. When you start to retrain your brain to be more productive, then more than 5% of your thoughts are in the present, are in the future, and you just naturally have the habit of being more productive and of overcoming those bad habits. But you really have to work on it in the beginning because your brain wants to stay in the past. Once you hit that 35, yeah, just 95% of your thoughts are from the past, and they're from your past habits. So it could even be your high school habit of procrastinating on your homework that's
Mm-hmm.
making you be late for your work projects at age 40. And it sounds wild to say that, but
Mm-hmm.
your body wants to be comfortable, and your body is comfortable in that past thinking. And so you just have to snap yourself out of that past thinking, get into present and future thinking.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting as well, because we can't change anything in the past. I always
Mhm.
say you can't change the past, but you can change everything in the future.
Exactly, exactly.
Hmm. You just have to acknowledge that the way things are now, and
Mhm.
then think about how you want them to be in the future, but taking a steps. Action is
Exactly.
always the most important thing.
It is, and you just have to remind yourself that you don't want to be that way anymore. And so if you're constantly overwhelming yourself, you just stop and you remind yourself, I don't do overwhelm. And you just talk about your present tense, you talk about your future tense, and it doesn't matter that you have a history of overwhelming yourself. It doesn't matter that you have a history of procrastinating. You say, I don't procrastinate. And you just remind yourself, I don't
Mm-hmm.
procrastinate until your mind believes it, until it is solidified in your brain.
Mm-hmm. But I have this kind of question as well. Doesn't some of the productivity, like if people trying to be overproductive, does that cause anxiety? I think that causes anxiety when they're trying to be overproductive.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. So, one of the biggest parts of productivity is recovering from activity. You have to allow your brain time to recover, especially when you've done deep work where you really have to concentrate, because it's that time when your brain lets loose and it's able to make those super creative connections and come up with new ideas because you've done this hard work and now you're relaxing. Maybe you're laying in bed, maybe you're in the shower, and that's where your best ideas come from because you're finally letting your guard down. And so, the Buddhists say if you're doing nothing, then you're busy because sometimes you just have to
Hmm.
have time to do nothing. You have to have time to let your brain relax. Or you do get so anxious and you just get all riled up inside. You have to give yourself that time to rest. And I think that's about giving yourself permission to rest and grace for yourself, truly.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I didn't know that Buddhists had that saying.
They do.
Mm-hmm. Because it makes a big difference when you're just trying to be busy for being busy. Busy
Yes.
being busy is not productive.
No, no, it's not at all. That just sends you in a tailspin.
Mhm. And that's what causes anxiety for a lot of
Yes.
people when they're just trying to, and they feel. I just read somebody saying that they felt like when they feel that they're not doing anything,
Mhm.
that's where they feel anxiety because they feeling that they're supposed to be doing something.
That goes back to the addiction to being busy. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just have to give yourself permission, really, and say, I'm going to meditate, or I'm going to pray, I'm going to do yoga, I'm going to just sit in nature and listen to the birds. And you can, if it makes you feel better, you can schedule that time and say, okay, from noon to 12:30, I am going to sit outside and watch nature. I'm going to get my
Mhm.
vitamin D. And then during that time, you don't have your phone, you just sit and you relax. You can listen to music or just listen to nature. And really that gives your body, mind, and spirit that great reset. And so if you have trouble giving yourself permission to rest, permission to reset, then put it on your calendar. This is my
Mhm.
reset time. Now, I'm
Mhm.
an introvert, so I have no problem giving myself that time because that's from where I get my energy, is that quiet reflection time.
Mhm. Actually, that's a really good advice for people who think that they always have to be busy, to schedule that non-business time in and
Mhm.
just label it something else. You don't label it like I'm not doing nothing. You label it
Right.
I'm taking a break, I'm recharging, I'm giving
Mhm.
myself mental stimulation. My brain
Ex
needs this time. So I'll be
exactly.
more productive with everything else in my list.
Exactly, you can call it self-care time,
Mhm.
and I would challenge you that if you're not great at doing self-care, then you put it on the calendar. You say, "Okay, this is my 20 minutes of self-care time. I'm going to file my nails, I'm going to wash my hair, I'm going to" whatever the case may be. But then when you take care of yourself and you do that self-care, then you're feeling so much better about yourself also, and you don't have as much anxiety because
Mhm.
you took care of yourself and you put
Mhm.
yourself first. And that is a huge accomplishment. That's something that a lot of people fail to do is taking time to put themselves first.
Mhm. And that's actually, I was thinking what to name it, and I was thinking like release the anxiety. So that's the time
Yes,
that you're releasing your anxiety, so you have energy to do everything else. That's not the word
exactly.
that came to my mind for that break time. That's
Hmm.
releasing your anxiety.
Oh, I love it. I love a name for it. I'm going to use that.
Hmm. Because then they can do, they release the anxiety, they have less anxiety on their body already, and they be
Hmm.
able to do everything else again.
Exactly. And
Mhm.
with that, especially when you're blocking your time out, I think that's a very effective thing to do is block your time. I like to tell people to switch it up and go physical, mental, physical, mental. So on your calendar, you do something physical. So maybe that's the dishes or laundry or going for a walk. Then you do something mental. It could be a
Okay.
big project, it could be cleaning out your email list, whatever the case may be. But
Mhm.
if you switch back and forth between physical and mental tasks, then it keeps your brain moving, it keeps your brain going, and you don't have anxiety from sitting too long, or you don't have anxiety from feeling like you're not doing that deep work because you're too busy running around, doing errands or whatnot. So if
Mhm.
you just plan that you're going to switch back and forth, then you don't have to think about, oh, I'm sitting too long. Oh, I'm not doing
Mhm.
enough.
That's actually really good advice. You're giving so many good advices. I'm just like, oh, I have to change a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So, but I have my own tools, but now I'm getting all kind of new tools as well. So
Oh, I love
it's
it.
cool.
Good.
Hopefully, all the viewers they get the same thing. Like write down all these tools. I should start telling people to get the pen and paper in the beginning of the show that they can write down all the tips. It's just such a great information.
Oh, thank you.
Hmm. And how do you practice that in your own life as well? Like, what is your productivity list on a morning? Do you do morning or evening?
So I am, mm, I'm sort of a morning person, sort of a night person, but I love to take naps in the afternoon. So
Okay.
I get up around 6 o'clock in the morning and immediately I text my client list and I say, good morning, how are you? What's on the agenda for today?
Hmm.
And I have what I call 10 and 10, 10 questions in 10 minutes. And
Okay.
so I'll go through my routine and I'll start that routine with each of my clients and then they're free to get back to me, when they're
Hmm.
able. But I like to really do that in the morning, and then I have a little bit of time. I do client work. I have for some user generated content. work that I do. I have a client, so I start that early in the morning. And then around 7:30, I get my 4-year-old up, I get him ready for school, I get myself ready, and then by 8:30, he's at school. I come back home and I sit outside and I just breathe for a few minutes because I'm finally
Mhm.
toddler
Mhm.
free.
Mhm.
And when you're toddler free, then you need to just, ah, that feels nice. What is that? Silence? Mhm.
Mhm.
So I take some time from about 8:30 to 9 just to sit outside, and I have a ton of squirrels outside my house. We have
Mhm.
deer,
Oh,
who
wow.
oh yeah, we have deer, we have squirrels, we have birds. So I watch nature, I take little funny videos of them, and I really just enjoy. And then about 9 o'clock, I step, back into work mode and I do the first thing on my list. And so I'll have something planned from 9 to 10 in the morning. So today it was preparing for our call. And then from 10 to 11, I have our call scheduled. After that, I'm doing some more user generated content work. And then I have to do some laundry. I have to do some dishes. I always
Mhm.
vacuum on Fridays. So I have on my calendar things that I do for the house every day of the week that are different. So, for example, I do laundry on Fridays. I clean the pool on Fridays. What else do I do on Fridays? I just try to pick up and make sure everything is nice for the weekend
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
kids just the house explodes right during the week. You don't always have time. I try to get any errands done. And then Friday afternoons, I do, well, sometimes I take a nap, usually from like 1 to 1:20. I'll meditate or just take
Mhm.
a really quick nap, get energized again, and then I'll go back into doing deep work from like 1:30 to 4:30. I give myself 3 hours to work on new projects. I'm writing a book on flow state, so I'll write for 3 hours, and I really just take that high concentration, silence only time. And
Mhm.
then, I'll take again maybe like 20, 30 minutes for myself before I pick up my child just to get energized and get ready to be happy fun time mom. And then
Mhm.
I go and I pick up my child and we do happy fun time, parenting stuff, make dinner. And then once he is in bed, my husband and I spend some time together and then we separate, go to our offices, and we both work from maybe like 11 to midnight or so,
Mhm.
and we'll do some additional work late at night and then
Mhm.
sleep and then wake up. And so my sleep is more fragmented, but I still get 8
Mhm.
hours every night. It's just a little bit more fragmented so I can work around toddler time and get that
Mhm.
quiet in.
And that's why it's good to have like in your mind to have the plan for your day, even if it
Yes,
doesn't go exactly like that. If you have the plan, then it's easier to flow with it, you know?
exactly. And if you get off track, you can say, "That's okay. I'm going to put that off." And then the next thing on my list is X. And on Thursdays, I clean bathrooms. Yesterday, I didn't get the bathrooms cleaned, and that's
Mhm.
okay. Maybe I'll get it done today. Maybe I'll get it done this weekend. I give myself grace. The worst that's going to happen, what, I'm going to wait till next Thursday? Darn it.
Mhm. Yeah. So, what I was trying to say, one thing I was thinking as well when you were talking about naps, it's
Mhm.
good to for people to learn to do quick naps.
Yes.
Quick naps because a lot of like famous, very productive people, why they are able to do so much in their life. They have like multiple businesses they're
Mhm.
running and they do so much. But
Mhm.
I've learned they do quick naps, like those 20-minute naps.
Mhm.
They go and let's say they have to be in different places in one day. They
Mhm.
go on airplane, 20-minute nap, back to
Yep.
work. Somewhere else, like some actors, actresses, makeups too. They're getting a makeup for the movie. 20-minute
Mhm.
nap, you know?
Yes. Exactly, and that gives you so much energy, especially because not only do you get worn out from interacting with others, but we spend so much screen time our phones, our computers, our tablets, you have that eye strain. Eye strain gives you mental fatigue, it gives you physical fatigue. So if you just simply close your eyes for a few minutes, you're going to have more energy to get more done because you're removing that eye strain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Another one that I wanted to go back in procrastination.
Mhm.
The thing that I wanted to say as well, when people procrastinate, they feel guilty.
Yes, yes, they do.
But then when they do whatever that is that they procrastinate with, that is their
Mhm.
award,
Yep.
then they can do the activity and then they don't feel guilty when they're doing actually the thing that they usually use for procrastination. Now they get to
Right.
do it and not feel guilty about it. They feel like, oh, I earned it. So they can actually
Yes.
enjoy it even so much more.
And, and what a cool feeling that is to let go of guilt because
Mm-hmm.
I think that guilt causes anxiety,
Yeah.
truly, because you're like, "Oh, I should be doing this, but instead I'm sitting here, I'm being nervous, I'm playing my SimCity instead."
Mm-hmm.
And if you would just say, "Okay, stop, reset, do the thing, just start doing the thing. You don't have to prepare to do the thing. Just
Mm-hmm.
do the thing.
Yeah.
Just get started, and then you will get in the groove." And, if you
Mm-hmm.
have trouble getting started, the best tip that I have learned is to when you're working on something, especially like a long-term project, leave something unfinished. So when I
Hmm.
stop writing for the day, I'll stop mid-sentence. And why do
Oh,
I
okay.
stop mid-sentence? Because then overnight, I'm thinking about that, and in my head, I'm like, "Okay, I have to finish that sentence." So I go back to write again the next day, and I finish the sentence, and then I'm already in the groove, and I'm writing another sentence. I don't have to get ready to write. I just have to finish the sentence, and then I'm already going. I'm already doing it.
Mm-hmm. That actually reminded me another tool, as there's so many good tools that we had
There
to
are.
use. And that's all about like getting those things, not just knowing them, but them using them. I learned long
Yes.
time ago when I was young, and I learned from I worked in a risk carton, and I in their training train you, they teach you clean as you go.
Yes.
Oh my God, that helped me. And I teach it to everybody because this
Yes.
way you don't have things pile up. It's just
Mhm.
like you walk past something. Okay, I see this one goes there, this one goes there. And with everything in life, you just do things while they're coming up instead of piling
Exactly.
it all up. So I don't use
Yes.
it anymore, only just for cleaning. It's like everything else. It comes to
Mhm.
my mind, I get it done as soon as possible. It's done. I'm done with it. It's not piling up.
Exactly, and if you're doing things that, take less than 2 minutes, so picking up something off the floor, just you know what? Don't leave it there because then in your mind, you're like, "Those socks, they're still on the floor. Those
Mm-hmm.
socks are on the floor. Socks are on the floor." All of a sudden, you're anxious because socks are on the floor. Well, just
Mm-hmm.
pick up the socks. Just pick them up.
Mm-hmm.
And, in the morning, I make my bed, whether I feel like it or not, because I've accomplished one thing. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
just making your bed can feel like a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you just make your bed in the morning, you're already on the road to productivity because you've already done one thing.
Mm-hmm. And they become habits. They
Yes.
become habits really fast. Same way like the bad habits can become habits really fast.
Mhm.
Good habits become habits really fast as well.
They do, and then all of a sudden people are like, "How do you get so much done in a day?" Well, I don't know, I just do. But if you start to think about it, it's because you used these tools and then you integrated them into your life, into your personality, and they just became part of you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, Becca, let's talk about a little bit of what else that you're doing and how people can get in contact with you before we start
Absolutely.
wrapping up. Mm-hmm.
Um, so first, you can go on Amazon.com. I have a book called Are You Okay? And
Okay.
other questions we should be asking each other. This is really a love letter to women to let folks know that you're doing better than you think. You have to give yourself grace. And when you feel like judging other moms, other wives, other women, instead ask how you can be helpful. Ask how you
Mhm.
can trade services, trade chores, instead of judging somebody, just ask how you can be of benefit.
Mhm.
How people can reach me, you can find me on social media under BECCA FROH on Facebook. You can go to getproductive.org and under getproductive.org, please sign up for my newsletter. You'll get all kinds of good tips, no spam, just the good stuff. And you can reach out to me on social media or through my website. You can schedule a call, and I can help you to live the life that you have imagined and help you to get productive.
Mhm. And all the links for Becca are on the bottom as well, so you can reach her with all the links in description or all the links, so it's easy. So I like the idea of the having the kind of support person in a pocket then with the text messages.
Exactly. And it's really, you know what? It's just our little secret. All
Mm-hmm.
of a sudden, your spouse is like, wow, we're really getting along better. How is that?
Uh-huh.
It's a secret. Your
Well,
boss is like, oh, you're getting more stuff done. You're on time for meetings now. How is that happening? It's a secret.
mm-hmm. Exactly. So that's a really good tool for the men and women
Yes.
as well. But like you said, for men, why do you think men tend to be more secretive about using the services?
Because they don't want to admit that they need help. They feel like it hurts their masculinity, it hurts their manhood to need help. And at first, when I've had some people come to me who are hesitant to get help, but then afterwards they're like, wow, you know what? That was amazing. So for example, I had a client who was studying for law school, and he increased his scores 50% in the first week, and he was getting Harvard level entrance scores on his
Oh,
LSAT.
wow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just huge from like not getting passing scores to Harvard level passing scores in a week just because he had that private help and support.
Mm-hmm. It's important. I always tell people, doesn't matter how good you are in things, and even
Mhm.
for coaches and everything, we like outside help as well because we have things where we don't see ourselves from outside, just like blind
Right.
spots. You know, we can
Exactly.
see
You
other
can't see
people's
yourself
blind
clearly.
spots. Hmm. Because we can see other people's blind spots, but somebody has to see our blind spot. And they
Yeah,
just
that is
point
so
them
true.
out. And after they point them out, then we can work on them.
Exactly. And you point them out gently and respectfully
Hmm.
and know that nobody is perfect and we're all a work in progress. But just keep going so that you can reach your big goals. And that's the big
Hmm.
thing is just to keep going.
Yeah, it's important for men to understand as well that it's okay. They probably think that other men don't have it because they don't talk about it. But to
Right.
understand that the actually same way with women, everybody
Yeah.
has it to some way or some degree or some. It's not same for everybody, but it's some type of their own anxiety.
Right. And nobody is perfect. Everybody has things that they're not comfortable with, not comfortable about. And I can tell you, I have seen just such amazing, amazing growth in a lot of the men who I have worked with, and it's absolutely phenomenal. I
Mhm.
have I have gentlemen who are now living their dreams, and their relationships are better. Their careers are just skyrocketing because they ask for help and they got that support.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Well, let's wrap it up as well.
Okay.
For what would be one advice to start with?
One advice to start with is just get started. You don't have to get ready to start. You don't have to do a list of 47 things to get ready to work on the project. Just sit down, butt in seat, and do it. just get started.
Mm-hmm. Great. And also, one thing that I ask from all my guests is connected to happiness because I'm
Mhm.
doing the happiness channel mainly.
Yes.
What, in your words, what is happiness for you? Not that what other people think happiness
Mhm.
is or what generally people think happiness is, but what is happiness for you, Becca?
For me, happiness is a choice. Every day I wake up and I choose to be happy. I could
Mm-hmm.
choose to be upset about a lot of things in my life, but I'm not, and I don't. I choose to be happy. I choose to be positive, and then I am happy because I made that choice. So to me, it's a choice.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I love it. And name maybe three or so actions or items that make you feel happy.
Absolutely. Chocolate makes me happy. Chocolate makes me very, very happy.
Uh-huh.
Um, Yoga makes me happy,
Mm-hmm.
and hugs make me happy. Hugging my
Oh,
husband, hugging my kids.
oh my
Oh, I love
God.
hugs.
I
Hugs
love
make me so
that. I
happy.
love hugs. You actually like I'm sure hugs are in a lot of people's happiness list, but you're the
Yes.
first one actually saying on air. Oh, I love that. You put it out there. So that's really cool. Okay. Thank you, Becca, so much for joining us.
Thank you. Have a fantastic day.
Yeah, we got a lot of information. So all the viewers, you might want to watch this episode all over again, write everything down, all the tricks that you learned. So, and watch those other episodes as well, all together. If you're watching all nine, your anxiety, I would say, goes away, or at least it's going to go 50% away, and you're going to be in control of it. So much
Mhm.
good information. Thank you, Becca. And thank you
Thank
for
you.
all the viewers. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.